Miguna, welcome to Jeff Koinange Live. It's good to see you smiling despite the ordeal that you've been through the last 24, 48 hours.
Thank you, Jeff.
So tell me, what's the latest? Yesterday, you were in you were in Berlin in the morning, Paris in the evening, and then you were in the plane and you were kicked out of the plane. Take it from there, please.
So, Jeff, you know what happened. What happened yesterday was that I went to the TXL International Airport in Berlin to check in for my flight to Kenya through Frankfurt. And when I arrived at the check-in counter, the manager checked my name and it was already flagged. She took my passport and cross-checked it and said, yes, my name is listed on a red alert issued by the Office of the President in Kenya. So we went on the side and she showed me the red alert. That's the picture, in the image in German that I sent to you yesterday. And I asked her what was it about, and she said that the order was that Lufthansa had to cancel my flight because if they didn't, their plane would not be allowed to land in Kenya. So they had to comply with the directives. They didn't understand what the reason was. Well, now I can't even see you.
It's okay. We can hear you, Miguna. We can hear you. Carry on.
Yeah, so they didn't understand what it is because it was not explained. I showed the court order that had directed the Kenyan authorities to comply, and they said that I had to discuss with the so-called Kenyan authorities so that they had to, in writing, remove or cancel the red alert. Otherwise, they would not be able to carry it to Kenya. So after back and forth, and of course after letting you know what was happening, the flight left me there. And I went to the lounge and I waited. They managed to book for me my other flight, which was Air France flight. And I traveled to Paris from Berlin yesterday. And the flight that was supposed to take me to Nairobi was to leave around 7 p.m. French time. There was nothing untoward at the airport. There were a lot of Kenyans, and I believe that as of that time, there was no red alert. I waited, and then just before we entered the plane, I tweeted that we were coming, essentially that I was traveling to Nairobi. There seemed to be no problem. I checked in. I went to my seat like everybody else. We sat down. The doors were just about locked. The gate was already locked, and the plane was preparing to taxi so that it would take off. And then the duty manager came in and approached me and said that I could not fly, that they had received the same red alert that Lufthansa had received. At this time, they didn't know about Lufthansa's red alert, but they said they just received it, which implies that the red alert was issued after one or two things happened. Number one, that the so-called Kenyan authorities saw my tweet, and or, as Air France told me, that now Nairobi, meaning the regime in Nairobi, has directed all airlines flying into Nairobi and using Kenyan airspace to provide them with the manifest of all passengers before the planes take off. And I believe the reason why they did that, because this is a new directive, is so that they see me on the manifest so that they can issue the so-called red alert. And once that is done, the same demands that were made to Lufthansa were made of Air France, and they said they had no alternative but to to decline to transport me to Nairobi. So, of course, I came out of the plane. Eventually, moved the luggage. They delayed the flight. And after about 3 hours, I got my luggage. And I had to look for alternative accommodation before I made my way back to Berlin.
Okay.
So this is about the regime in Kenya refusing to obey court orders. There is nothing I have done to warrant what they are doing, and if I have done anything for which they would like to charge me or prosecute me, coming to Kenya is what...
Miguna, I don't know if you can still hear me. Can you still hear me?
I'm hearing you,
okay.
But can I finish this?
Yes, go ahead, yeah.
Obviously, I went to Berlin, and obviously I also took a flight to Paris. There was no designation of me as anything other than a normal passenger. I was treated respectfully in all my flights when to Germany and when abroad to other cities of the world. And these airlines told me that they had no problem of taking me to Nairobi, but that the so-called Nairobi authorities had to say that they could take me to Nairobi. So my issue with this is as follows. Number one, this is akin to somebody breaking into your house, kidnapping you, taking you from your house, taking your keys and your title deed, locking you out of the gate, and then telling you to produce documents they have taken from you, and telling you are not the owner of the house because they have taken your documents because they have guns. The matter has gone to court, and in any country governed by the rule of law, if there is a dispute either between citizens or between citizens and the government, the only arbiter is a court of law. Courts of law have ruled that they violated my rights, that they should not have taken me out of Kenya, that they should not have broken into my house, that they should not have detained me incommunicado, they should not have tortured me, they should not have taken my passport and destroyed it, and they should not refuse to allow me back to Kenya.
Miguna, can I jump in?
As of yesterday, Justice Korir said that they should allow me into Kenya using my Kenya national ID card and or the passport they took from me, which the court gave to my lawyers, and my lawyers have possession of.
Miguna, let me jump in here if I will.
Do that.
Okay, let me jump in. Let me jump in real quick and say, look, and I'm sure you've seen the press release by government spokesman Cyrus Oguna saying, listen, he doesn't understand why Miguna hasn't walked into any embassy on the planet and applied for his passport. The embassy staff are literally waiting for you to give you your according to his press release.
Okay, so Jeff, listen to this. Number one, Oguna is not a party in court. This case is in court, and the courts have already ruled on it. Oguna cannot change the ruling of the court. A government cannot change the ruling of the court. If you have a problem with a court order, you appeal to the Court of Appeal, which they did and lost. And then the second appeal, they withdrew themselves. So that's number one. The court orders are crystal clear. The court orders are against them, not against me. The court orders are in my favor. And the court orders say, number one, return his passport in its valid form. Number two, allow him to enter Kenya unconditionally. Number three, his national ID card is enough for purposes of identity. Number four, his passport that you destroyed is deemed valid and he can use it to leave or enter Kenya anytime he wants. And number five, pay the damages that you are ordered to pay. They have not done any of that. Now they are putting other conditions to the court. They are now saying that they who have been found culpable are the ones to dictate to the court and to me how they are going to obey the court order. They are changing the court order. The court order did not say I should go anywhere to apply for the passport. The court order said return his passport. They are supposed to comply, period.
Okay. I hear your point there, Miguna. A simple question that a lot of people are probably asking right now, by the way, is what do they fear from this man, Summer? What do they fear from you, Miguna, or about you?
I think you know it, Jeff. Number one, they can't buy me. They are used to buying almost everyone that has been criticizing them. They bribe you with money, like they did to Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga is muzzled. Raila Odinga is now singing Hosanna to Uhuru Kenyatta, who stole his elections and who killed his supporters, and whom he said he was going to remove from power because he said Uhuru was illegitimate, and I believe them. But Raila Odinga now is praising Uhuru Kenyatta. Raila Odinga has been bought, and I cannot be bought. So that's number one. I cannot be bribed, and I cannot be bought. Number two, I cannot be intimidated and threatened into silence. I have refused to compromise my principles, my ideology, and my values, my value of integrity. Number three, I am right. I speak the truth, and I am fearless. And the youth of Kenya, they have realized, are actually supporting me. So what they are doing, imagine, Jeff, I'm one man, I'm unarmed, I don't have an army, I don't occupy public office, but they fear what I speak about and my ability to articulate what I am saying vis-a-vis their lies. For example, they are peddling lies that their BBI is supposed to unite Kenyans and to bring inclusivity and to bring peace. Am I not a Kenyan? And the court have said I am a Kenyan. So how are they uniting with me when they refuse to allow me to come back to my motherland? How are they including me as part of Kenya by refusing to obey court orders? How are they bringing peace when they don't respect my basic human rights? So you can see everything is a lie. Oh. And they don't like the fact that I will be telling them that I'm lying, because BBI's intention is to eliminate the term limit so that Uhuru can cling to power for life. That is what it is supposed to be.
Okay.
That is what.
By the way, Miguna, I don't believe that a red alert has ever been issued on a Kenyan, as far as I know. I don't know if you know.
Yeah, Jeff, red alerts are not issued by countries against their own citizens. Red alerts can only be issued on people who have already been convicted and are running away from justice. So say, for example, I came to Kenya, committed a crime. I have been tried, convicted. Then, before sentence, I take off. The Interpol will issue a red alert. The Office of the President or Interior does not issue red alerts. A police service that is supposed to be apprehending a runaway, somebody who is a fugitive, is the one that issues a red alert to all other police officers around the world to apprehend the fugitive. I'm not a fugitive. I'm trying to come back. So if I had done something wrong, why don't they just arrest me and take me to court?
Okay, let me ask you.
They said they believe in the rule of law. And the rule of law says, the principle of the rule of law, the basis of any democracy, is that everyone is subject to the law and nobody is above the law. And the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. They are subverting and betraying and disobeying all of that.
Okay, Miguna, let me ask you this. As much as you are gaining a lot of sympathy around the country and around the world, there are a lot of people who say, look, this is a lone voice out there. There are no riots or demonstrations in Miguna's favor. No one is protesting out there demanding your return, or very few are. I mean, who do you speak for, Miguna?
So Jeff, I speak for myself. Each one of us can only speak for ourselves. You, Jeff, you speak for yourself. Raila Odinga can only speak for himself. Uhuru Kenyatta can only speak for himself, because we are all individuals. They are not superior to me. They're just human beings like you and me. The mere fact that you have power does not give you right to violate the rights of other people. Power is supposed to be exercised for the benefit of everyone, including Miguna. All right? So when you say, who do I speak for? I speak for myself. But I also speak about issues that affect millions of Kenyans. And when you say there are no riots because of what is happening to me, are you implying that there should be riots so that you can blame me for the riots? So that you can say Miguna is violent? So that you can have a justification for saying you don't want Miguna back in Kenya? No, there should be no riots. Miguna has never been involved in riots. You see, this thing that they did with Lufthansa and Air France and with all airlines now flying into Nairobi and all Kenyan ports was to provoke me to do something that they could use. They were saying, for instance, in the statement that you just referred to, that I was an unruly passenger. So ask yourself, when they say I was unruly, what took me to the airport? They broke into my home at night when I was sleeping, abducted me, and then 1 week later were forcing me into a plane out of the country. And I had not planned to travel. And I had not booked a flight. And I had no intentions of going where they wanted to take me. So what would you do, Jeff, if I came to your home, took you from your bed in the middle of the night, then went with you, and now I want to take you to Ethiopia? And there is no reason why I'm taking you to Ethiopia. Wouldn't you say, if you have dignity and you are, you have pride as a human being, you'd say, no, I'm not going to Ethiopia. And that's exactly what I did. Why should they be taking me where I don't want to go, when the Constitution is clear that a Kenyan citizen can live in Kenya anywhere they want, can work in Kenya anywhere they want, can depart and travel out of Kenya anytime they want, and can return to Kenya anytime they want? Why should that not apply to me? I am not a second-class citizen. I'm not a third-class citizen. And my rights are not favored, given because I agree or disagree with anyone. And I'm not going to beg my rights.
Miguna, let me ask you this. It must be very expensive for you commuting between Berlin and Paris, Dusseldorf back to Berlin. I mean, what's the next move, Miguna? What's next for you now?
As a member of the media, what you should be saying is, Miguna, what can we do to ensure that these tags comply with the court order? What do to help you bring these people to account in terms of respect for human rights, respect for the Constitution, respect for the rule of law? And I will tell you, condemn what they are doing. Join me in saying every Kenyan has the same rights, that we are all equal before the law. That's it.
Maybe in retrospect, if you hadn't been so vitriolic in your tweets or in your posts, maybe this comeback would have been a lot smoother, Miguna?
So let me ask you, Jeff. There was a time you were arrested and you squealed and cried like a baby because you allegedly defamed Jimmy Wanjigi. And you had to produce, I think, 2 million to be released. You didn't even stay in detention for 2 hours, but you cried for 2 months. So did you say that you did something wrong and that you would not do it again because somebody arrested you? No, Jeff. If you are a man of dignity, if you are a man of integrity, if you speak the truth and somebody victimizes you because you speak the truth, don't change. Even if you are, as Gandhi used to say, if you are just one person, a majority of one, don't change the truth, don't water down your integrity. What you call vitriolic are truth. There is nothing I have said which is not the truth.
Okay.
And you know, Jeff, let me finish this.
Yep.
You know the only reason Miguna cannot be sued in any court of law in the world for defamation, out of all these things that you call all manner of things, some people call them insults, some people call them vitriolic statements, is because truth is an absolute defense in defamation law, in libel law. They know it is the truth. They know I would embarrass them if they went to court with me, and they cannot sue me. So the only thing they can say is Miguna is abusing us. Abuse, even if I was doing it, is not a criminal offense.
Okay, Miguna.
And abuse is not something someone can use as a basis for saying I should not enjoy my constitutional and citizenship rights, just like they are.
Okay, and just for the record, I did not squeal like a baby, Miguna. Just for the record.
Just remember what you did.
All right, listen, Miguna. On the line right now, joining us is government spokesman, retired Colonel Cyrus Oguna. Oguna, meet Miguna. Retired Colonel, can you hear me?
So why am I talking to Oguna? I mean, Oguna is not a respondent in my case.
But he's the one who's been writing all these press releases on behalf of the government.
I'm not going to respond to Oguna because Oguna has no power in this government.
Okay, let me ask him a question. You stand by, Miguna. Colonel, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Jeff. How are you?
Okay, so you sent out a press release today saying that Miguna should now walk into any embassy on the planet and he can get his Kenyan passport. Is that what basically you said?
Yes, that is very true.
Why should he do that and not come home and get a passport when he gets home?
And that is because, Jeff, there's something that Miguna did mention about red alert. And this red alert actually is a notice that is normally issued against passengers who have demonstrated unruly behavior. And this is in line with ICAO regulation, Annex 17, that states that any passenger that exhibits unruly behavior can be prohibited from traveling.
Okay, let me ask you this real quick, Colonel. Let me ask you this real quick. Who issued the red alert? Was it yourself? Was it the government?
The red alert was issued by the Kenya government.
By the Kenyan government? Was that the CS?
Yes, it was issued in June of 2018.
But Miguna has traveled since then. He's been to America, he's been to other parts of Europe and the world, and there hasn't been a red alert. I saw him in D.C. in May, Miguna. We were together, weren't we?
Yeah, but it's not traveled to Africa. It's not traveled to Kenya.
So the red alert only applies to people traveling to Africa?
The red alert that was issued by the Kenya government.
So this law was made for Africa?
The red alert was issued by the Kenya government.
For Miguna traveling anywhere?
No, the red alert was issued by the Kenya government and was issued on the basis of the behavior, and we are members of the international community. And because we are signatory to the
I can hear you, Colonel.
Jeff, let me respond. Jeff.
Okay, you respond, Miguna. Go ahead.
He mentioned in his statement about the status. Can I just respond?
Go ahead, Miguna.
He stated that the grade of JKIA was high and that my behavior reduced it. Now, Jeff, ask yourself the question. Between Berlin TXL and the Charles de Gaulle International Airport or Pearson International Airport in Toronto or the airport in Washington, D.C., or JF Kennedy Airport, which one is higher? The JKIA in Kenya or these airports I've mentioned, the level of these airports are much more superior in every category than Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. And yet I fly in and out of these airports every day. Even right now, I just came from Dusseldorf. And also, you know, in the morning, I flew out of Charles de Gaulle International Airport. How come this red alert does not apply to these airports that I've traveled in and out of? So Oguna is lying, number one. Number two, who gives Oguna the legal basis of overturning High Court judgments? The High Court has ordered them to allow me and facilitate my travel into Kenya unconditionally.
Okay, let the
now
Colonel...
he's talking about alerts that he issued.
Okay, let the Colonel answer now, Miguna. Thank you. Colonel, what do you have to say to that?
Jeff, the facility of the airport, of any airport, does not necessarily indicate how, serious an airport is. Every airport has got a certain level of security and safety measures, and Kenya and whichever airport that is out there are all categorized as level 1 or category 1. And therefore facilities would not necessarily be used to determine how serious an airport is. JKA and all other airports in the world out there are all categorized as category 1. And that is based on having achieved certain measures of safety and security, that something that is equivalent to any other airport out there. And that is a category that we are, as Kenyans, must be ready to defend.
Yes, can I answer that?
Stand by, Miguna. Let me ask the Colonel one quick question, then you can answer. Colonel, real quick, was the red alert issued because Miguna was quote-unquote unruly, or he didn't have a passport, or why was it issued?
Red alert is issued on any...
I didn't get that, Colonel. Go ahead.
Yeah, Miguna was unruly, and that went against international regulations that are, put forward there by ICAO, which is International Civil Aviation Authority, Annex, Civil Aviation Organization, Annex 17.
Okay.
And that prohibits any unruly passenger to travel.
Okay, let me ask you this. Okay, but if Miguna walks into the Kenyan embassy in Berlin, he'll get his Kenyan passport and will no longer be unruly, or he can travel? Help me out here.
Yeah, let me answer that.
Go ahead, Colonel. Colonel, I think you're breaking up.
Yes, I'll answer that.
Go ahead.
If Miguna today walks into any of the embassies that we have abroad and he presents his biometric, he will be issued with a passport.
And then he can travel with that and he won't be unruly anymore?
Jeff.
Yeah, Miguna, go ahead.
Jeff, you can see how illogical and ridiculous he sounds. That all of a sudden, if I got a passport that he's talking about, which is really not what they are planning to do, then all of a sudden I'm not unruly. But I wanted to say this, Jeff. Remember Khashoggi, who was killed in the embassy in Ankara,